Hey, how are you? I'm so sorry that I'm late. I misplaced my long charging cords that I use for this because I use them for something else and the shorter ones just won't reach. Just give me a second to see where I am here and turn the volume down on my iPad so you only have to hear me once. So I hope everybody's doing well today. It was a beautiful sunny day here in South Florida. I'm sure some of the full-time people think it was a little chilly, but it was beautiful, just beautiful. Okay, hang on. That's really strange. Did anybody ever have their iPad sort of have double vision? I really think it's the iPad, not me, but you never know. You just never know. All right, I think we're good. Okay, and I'm hearing me twice, and we don't want to hear me twice. There we go. That should shut me up. All right, so I made the little comment about raining cats and dogs, and that's kind of what's happening tonight. We have two sets, one for cats and one for dogs, that are almost identical, at least in terms of how they're made. So they're both full-size background stamps, and one is Doggone Friendly, it's called, and the other one is Meow Mates. And there certainly are just a ton of things that you can do with these two sets. So I'll show you 3 of them today, and then we'll see if I can come up with any more, but I can certainly give you some more ideas tonight without making the actual cards. All right, so let me turn the camera down. Whoa, that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay. That is going to have to do, I think. Let me just get this cord out of the way. I thought about buying some more long cords, and then I decided against it because I've got a fairly old Apple SE phone. You know, it's one of the smaller ones, and I was refusing to get a new one, even though I'm having some problems with this one. But I was refusing to get a new one because they stopped making smaller phones. And then they just recently came out with the new Apple, I forgot what they're calling it, like Apple E or Apple I or something like that. And it's small. So I'm guessing that I was not the only one who felt like I needed to have a smaller phone. And so now I will get a new phone. However, the new phones use the C charger instead of the B charger. And the same thing for the cords. So if I go and buy all these new cords, it's just going to be a waste of money. What can I say? Hi, Audrey. How are you? Glad you could join us. All right. So these are the 2 stamp sets that I'm referring to, and they're both large. They are also our red rubber stamp sets, which means that they stamp really, really beautifully. I won't say that the photopolymer don't, but these just... I wouldn't want to do a photopolymer stamp this size, and as far as I know, Stampin' Up's never made a photopolymer stamp this size, and that's probably why, because it just kind of wouldn't work. So then I'll show you what I've been up to today. Let me just take 1 minute to put out my host code for the month of March, right? It's March. Okay, host code for the month of March. All right, host codes go away on April 14th, which is really weird. So I guess that means I can post a host code for April, but it won't be any good past the 14th. I think that's what it is, but I'll make sure to post on the group so you understand. And then here's my monthly creative prompts calendar. And take a look at that when you get a chance. It's also posted in the group. So what I was at today was using the Stamparatus. And I know that Stampin' Up doesn't sell the Stamparatus anymore. I'm not going to get into it. I still feel like we should have won that lawsuit. But anyway, This is the Stamparatus. So there are a number of other companies that do make stamping platforms. What made this one so unique was the fact that it comes with two plates. You could literally have one plate here and the other plate here and have this one open and just like keep stamping one thing on top of the other. No other company makes anything like that. It's also extremely sturdy. I also have, before I became a demonstrator, I bought the Tim Holtz stamp platform, which also comes with magnets. I do like that one, but again, it doesn't have the versatility of this one. And then Sweet Petunia makes the one called the Misty, which everybody seems to know the best. And I believe that of all the other options, it is the least expensive as well. So look around, read reviews. They're great because if you make a mistake or if your stamp isn't inked up well enough, you can just keep stamping it over and over again until the image comes out great. And that saves on a ton of frustration, okay? So give that a serious thought. And it's possible because I know a lot of demonstrators got rid of theirs and put them on eBay or Etsy or whatever for sale. So you might be able to find one on sale, for sale. But because they're becoming kind of scarce, you're probably going to pay through the nose for it. But I can't swear to that. I don't know. I haven't really looked. Okay, so what I did today was using the Stamparatus, I just basically stamped a bunch of these images. All right, so the image, like I said, is large. It's larger than a typical 4 by 5¼ card front. So we have some that are this large, which would really be too large for our regular size card base because they're bigger than the card base. However, if you wanted to use an image like this, you could certainly make a 5 by 7 card and then it would fit. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell 5 by 7 envelopes, but you can find them. So if you really wanted to make a 5 by 7 card, this would work. I'm probably going to trim it when it gets to that, but we'll see what happens, okay? So I stamped them in both, what is it, Smoky Slate, I think? Smoky Slate, yes, and Crumb Cake. I feel like there are more brownish dogs out there than there are brownish cats, but I could be wrong. So I just kind of stamped a bunch in both colors. And the idea is that, of course, you can take your Stampin' Right markers, you can take your watercolor pencils, yes. You can take your blends and you can color these. But I want to show you, in a while, I'll show you some of the things that different people have done with them that I think is very interesting. So let's start with our first card. The first card is a fun fold, and I was going to say it's kind of fun, but that's redundant, isn't it? Yeah. So the first one is a fun fold, and it is kind of a neat one. I did this exact same card for Halloween, the exact same fold for Halloween, and it was really cool. So let me show you how it goes. So we start out with a piece of cardstock that is basically just like our stand-up type card. So it's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. But then we also score it at 2 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to want to burnish those down really well just so they kind of stay where they're supposed to stay. And then we have another piece of cardstock that I think is 4 1/4 by 6 something, let me see, by 6 1/2, okay? So 4 1/4 by 6 1/2, and we score it at 1 inch. Okay, and then I got the now defunct Celebration mushroom paper, which is mushroomy on one side, but just a nice floral or greenery pattern on the other side, okay? And then I took the, is it Notes of Nature, or no, that's not right. Spotlight on Nature, I think that's it, dies, and I did one in black, and then I stamped with that stamp again, but just on a small circle so that I didn't waste a lot of paper. So these are just going to get put together first right off. So we'll do that now. What I love about circular stamps is that you can't go wrong with a circular stamp, because if something is crooked, you just turn the whole circle around. Once you've glued it on, that's a bit of a problem, but until you've glued it on, it's wonderful. Alright, so we're just going to center that on there, and I'm not even going to worry about what direction it's going in, because I'll just turn the circle till it's the way I want it to be. Alright, and that is going to go here, I think, but let's take one step at a time. Alright, so because every time I do this, I kind of get it wrong the first time. So this is the first part of it, standing up like this. And then we're going to take this part that has the 1 inch Yeah, the 1-inch fold on it, and we're going to put it on the back. I'm putting it on the back with this showing here because we're going to cover most of that up anyway. So I think that's the best way to do it. To be very honest with you, when I made the card for Halloween, I made a pattern, and I have that pattern, of course, at home in New York, not here. So I tried my best to remember it, and then I looked online to try to find something that looked similar. And this really looked like the same thing, but I don't remember this 1-inch thing. I honestly don't remember that, which doesn't mean it didn't happen. That was back in October. All right, so, and in case I forgot to introduce myself, if there's anybody new with us today, Nancy, hi, how are you? Gosh, Nancy, I haven't seen you in ages. We're talking about maybe getting another afternoon class going. We lost our venue for the afternoon class, and so that was tough because some people could really only come in the afternoons. So I'll certainly let you know if we get that going again. We'll probably have to have a different location, but I'm not sure. Okay, so anyway, my name is Roberta Colasino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you right now from Pompano Beach, Florida. I spend 3 months a year down here. No more than that because I really do like the fall. Okay, if I was going to stamp on that, which I think I might actually be, I probably should have waited to put that on, but so far I've had a reasonable amount of luck with that. Oh, but you know what? I did it backwards. Oh my, let's see. Is there a way to fix that? There is not. All right, so we're just going to kind of waste a piece of paper then, because what I wanted to do was have this be the inside of the card and have that white piece go there on the inside, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab another white liner, because I've always got a bunch of those made and ready to go. And we're going to put that there. And then here we're going to put this right over it, because otherwise the card is just going to be too blah. And it's the same size, so no one will ever know but us. Please don't tell anyone. No one would ever believe you anyway that I made a mistake. It just, no one would believe it. Okay. Glue on the right side, that would be a good idea. Although, the mushrooms are really cute. I just wasn't sure how they went with cats. I don't know, because cats probably don't eat mushrooms, or maybe they're not supposed to eat mushrooms. Right now, my daughter and I are having some trials and tribulations with a cat that has decided he no longer likes chicken, and the special food that he's supposed to have only comes in chicken, which is really unfair. I mean, would you want to eat the same thing every night? Like forever? Nothing but chicken? I don't think so. Okay, so now it stands up like this. This goes like this, and I'm going to put the same Designer Series paper there with a little black border showing. And if I wanted to switch it up, I could maybe put the mushrooms here. Of course, Audrey, I was telling my daughter today about your cat and how really fussy she is, because, and I don't remember the brands, but it was like she'll only eat Sheba food in one flavor, and then she'll eat Tasteful whatever something in another food, and then another flavor she'll only take in another brand. So, poor Audrey has to buy like a zillion brands of cat food to keep this cat happy. The things we do, right? The things we do. So now this is going to go right here so that it's going to be in the middle. All right, I don't want to put glue on the whole thing because then I'll glue my card shut. Been there, done that. So we're just putting glue on the bottom half because the other part's supposed to stick up. And because of the way this is designed, it will still fit into the envelope because the whole base of the card is just the typical envelope side. Now I might not actually stamp anything on this because I haven't decided what I'm going to use it for. But I will tell you a lot of the things that you can use them for. I have to find my little basket of goodies here just to give you some ideas. So, problem is that we have had dog and cat stamps in the past that came with sentiments. These don't come with sentiments because they're not typical dog and cat stamps. Well, it's missing. It's probably sitting out on the kitchen counter. Okay for now. So what I did was I just tried to remember, and I looked up a little bit on eBay and Etsy where people were selling those retired stamp sets. And because I don't have them with me, because I didn't bring anything retired, I just typed them on my computer. And then I made some up too. Like my daughter always gives a Christmas present to me, but it says it's from the cats. So I have one little thing that could be a tag that says from your favorite fur baby. And then I have another one that's supposed to be like a sympathy card. And we are still going to do that, but it actually says something like, your best friend leaves paw prints on your heart or something to that effect. And that was from a retired stamp set. So that would be kind of a nice thing to send to someone who had lost a pet. So here you go. Now what you could do is put an outie sentiment here, one sentiment here, and another one there. All right. Oh, another one that I did on the computer was from your favorite cat lady. So all my friends know that I'm kind of a cat lady. And so if I were to send them a card for whatever reason, I might put something on the inside that said from your happy birthday, and then on the inside from your favorite cat lady. So this is how it goes. It's basically a Z-fold card, but it comes in two pieces. So it's a modified Z-fold card. And I like the black and I like the green. It's a good combination. Now the other thing that you could do, and I do not have a clue where my colored pencils are, but let's just say that I was giving this card to someone who had a cat just like this one, kind of a fluffy cat. And one of the cats that I rescued right before coming down to Florida was a fluffy gray cat. So then what I could do is I could get out my Stampin' Blends, and if this card were for someone who had a fluffy gray cat, and actually I could save this card for the person who adopted the fluffy gray cat, yeah, gray card, because she did me a big favor by doing that. And I'm hoping that he's behaving himself for her. So what I could do is leave the other cats blank, so to speak, just leave them as a line image, and then take my Stampin' Right marker. It's kind of hard to tell here where one cat ends and another one begins, but I'll see what I can do. And there are enough varieties of cats on the whole sheet that you really should be able to find one that looks like a cat that you actually have or know someone who has. The only thing I really didn't think I saw, but I didn't study them all, was a Siamese cat particularly, but you could certainly turn a regular looking cat into a Siamese cat maybe. I don't know. I think you could. All right, so let's say we do the light gray or the dark gray with that, and then the light gray with this one, and then I don't want to like color over his eyes, so somehow or other I'm going to have to leave them alone if I can. I feel like for some reason this is something I'd rather do with the Stampin' Blend, or with the colored pencils rather, the watercolor pencils. But since I don't know where they are either, because I took them out and used them for another project, and then most cats have brown or green eyes. I think some have yellow. I don't think I've ever had a cat with yellow eyes though. But I think some of them do. And then probably black cats probably have black eyes. Is that true, Audrey? Does your black cat have black eyes? I don't know. Never had a black cat, although I have a tuxedo now, and he's a lot of black. Right. And then if any of this was too dark and like it was blurring his nose or keeping us from seeing his nose or his whiskers, I could take the color lifter and go over this and lighten it some more. So that's the nice thing about that. So this way, this card is kind of personalized. The people who adopted that cat named him Fred. I'm not quite sure why they named him Fred, because he's really beautiful. I told them I thought he deserved something more regal in the way of a name, but Fred it is. So this kind of looks like Fred, although he's got some stripes that are lighter than this too, so I might play with it with the color lifter, but for now you get the picture. And it's a pretty card, and it's definitely a cat card. But instead of using the entire big stamp, I just used a section of it and cut it out with a circular die. So that is card number 1. Very simple. Card number 2 is even simpler, really, because it's not a fun fold. So card number 2, I basically just looked for what pre-cut card bases I had on my desk. Just decided that was the best way to go. So card number 2, I found some lemon lime twist on my desk. I got some lemon lime ink, and I stamped. The stamping didn't come out great in the center, and I wasn't worried about that because we're going to cover part of that up, but not with that. So I don't know why that's there, because we're not covering it with that. Oh, yes, we sort of are. I get it now. All right, hang on. I knew I had to remember something. So we need, so this card, let me show you what I did today. So I took pictures off my phone. This is Shiloh, that's my daughter-in-law's dog. And this is Oakley, this is my son's dog. So Shiloh is a, I don't know, they said he was a German Shepherd something mix, and he looks very lab to me. I'm just not sure. And Oakley is a purebred, trained AKC, you name it. She's got all the bells and whistles, Belgian Malinois. And this is Louie, who's an American short-haired cat, tuxedo. And this is Dexter, who is a American short-haired ginger cat, but kind of tuxedo-ish. And I found out that you don't have to be black and white to be a tuxedo. So that means that my previous cat, yes, my previous cat, Brutus, was actually a tuxedo cat. I thought they had to be black and white because that's kind of what tuxedos are. But I don't know. I found out that that was not true. So I cut these two images out with a 3/8 inch punch. So what I thought we could do then is take, and I kind of hate doing this, but I'm going to do it, take a 2.5 inch punch, all right, and I'm going to punch a section of this out. And I'm purposely zooming in on this larger dog here that could sort of look like Shiloh. Maybe, maybe not, but shape-wise, he looks more like Shiloh than any of the others. So Shiloh it is, all right? So we've got that there, and no, I didn't do that right. I didn't want to do that. Hold the fort. And you know what? That's not that much bigger, is it? And yet, I think 2.5 is my biggest one. That's a problem. Yeah. So I want to save that for another trick. So let's see what I've got here. What color would go with Lemon Lime Twist besides more Lemon Lime Twist? Because I've got all kinds of scraps on my desk here. Let's see, what would look good with that? Well, I do have extra Lemon Lime Twist on my desk. Oh, and I need that one for just a kind of an example. Oh, but I don't want to use Lemon Lime Twist. Well, we could do something totally different. Instead of using a circle, how about if we just do a banner? And I think that these colors actually, while they sort of clash, like I don't know if you would wear them together, to me they do sort of look good together. So let's just chop this down a little bit, make it a little bit thinner. You just want to do something to separate the picture from the background. Let's make it like 1.25 inches wide. Okay. And then 4.25 inches this way. Although I kind of want to, because I tried to print this on photographic paper, and what happened was my printer caught the regular paper underneath instead. So it's flimsy. It just came out on regular paper. So let's find the 1 3/8 punch again. And I'm going to take a piece, or 2 3/8, and I'm going to take just a piece of cardstock. It's not quite big enough, but it'll be okay. Oh, well, yeah, it's almost big enough. Okay, let's do that. Just to back it on that so that it's a little bit more sturdy. So Shiloh is a sweetheart. He is a senior dog for sure. I know he's at least 10, but I think he's almost older than that now. But he's just a lover. He's a real sweetie. He's very good with children, very good with anybody, really. And Oakley, because she is a herding dog, the only issue is that she likes to herd. And so if there are children at a party or a gathering or something and she thinks that they're wandering off or doing what they're not supposed to be doing, she nips at their butts, which is what herding dogs do to the sheep that they're herding. She kind of nips at their butts to move them along. But if they're little, they're wearing a diaper anyway, so they don't feel anything. So it's not a bad thing, really. And she probably would be quicker to notice a child wandering off from a group than some adults would be. So in that sense, it's a very good thing. Okay, so we'll put that, I think we'll put it smack in the middle. Okay, and this could be one where, you know, it's a happy birthday from your favorite fur baby or something to that effect. Okay. And like I said, I don't know where I left those little sentiments because they were really kind of cute, but I did something with them. I lost them. So glad I went to the trouble to make them. But when I post the pictures, they'll be there, I promise. And we'll put that in. All right, now I'm going to throw in another card just because I remembered that I wanted to show you one other thing. So you've seen me make cards where we let the DSP do the work and we have this thing sort of cut like this and then the DSP on the other side. Sometimes it's even shorter than that and it really kind of should be. So we'll cut that side off. And I basically did that because I needed a piece of this for some reason and it was sitting there in front of me, so I just hacked part of it off, even though it meant that it wouldn't be necessarily good for making a card, but it actually can be. So what you do there, and now because this is kind of a brownish color, I'm going to take one of these dog cards. It's in a similar brownish color. And we're going to put that right in there. So this one's probably a little bit too big, so we're going to have to trim it up a little bit. So we want it to be 4 1/4. And maybe just the tiniest bit smaller than 4 1/4 to sort of make up for the fact that it's getting stuck in there. By 5 1/2. Oh, this silly trimmer doesn't do 5 1/2. That's why I decided that trimmer really wasn't such a great thing after all. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to put that in there, and then you're going to open that up, hold this in place, and you're going to put glue on this flap. So it's not exactly a book card, but it does sort of look like a little bit of a book binding or something like that, but not exactly the book fold card. And so now this way, yeah, it is going to need to be trimmed just a little bit. You could put your sentiment here, and in this case, I would definitely want the sentiment to be like on a circle of white or another color. Let me see, what do we got here? Oh, that's kind of small, but it might be the biggest one I have. So here's a good one. When my son goes away, sometimes he has friends who come to the house and watch his dogs. It depends. If my daughter and I are home, then one of us may watch them, but sometimes we're all going someplace together, so that can't happen that way. So sometimes what you really need is, let me find it here, is a thank you sentiment. So, you know, maybe he's going to give them a thank you card and some gift, a gift card or something like that for watching his dogs while he's away. Let me see, where's the color I want? Right here. All right, so basically you've made your own designer series paper. And again, there just really is not a dog here that looks like Oakley. There's a little bit of a dog that looks like Shiloh, but not one that looks like Oakley. I think this pad is super juicy. Okay, it worked. I thought for sure it was going to be too gushy. Alright, so then you would put this on here and it would be thank you for watching the dog. And of course, the one that sort of looks like Oakley is here, and that's right where I'm putting the thank you, so that might not work, although I could put it here. And then again, if you want to accent those two dogs, you could color the one that looks like Shiloh and color the one that looks like Oakley, or if the person watching your dog is watching a hound dog or a basset hound or whatever, then color that one. If you have a St. Bernard, more power to you because they eat like a horse, then it could go there. All right. So I think I'm just going to stick that right on. I'm going to use just a little bit of glue in case I decide I want to make a background for it. So this way I can rip it off again if I want to. But just a nice thank you card for the person who's been watching your dog. So that's card 2 1/2. We'll call it card 2 1/2. How's that? All right, now this one makes me sad, but I wanted to address this though. So this one would be a sympathy card. Because when people lose their fur babies, they're kind of just as sad. Hang on. Did anybody hear that? Siri just said you're welcome. I don't know why he butts in all the time. Anyway, so this is the cat card, and I'm not highlighting any of the cats because what I did was I ran off pictures of the cats. So this is Brutus. Brutus was our absolutely most lovable cat, my daughter's first real pet besides a crayfish, which sounds odd but true. And he passed away 2 Novembers ago. And we still think about him every day. He's just a sweetheart. And we really had to get Louie because Dexter was so lonely without Brutus that we had to get them. And we love Louie too. He's just a pain in the neck. I would highly recommend to most people who get cats, if they can, to get 2. If they can find litter mates, that's even better because they keep themselves company, and I think they probably do a lot less damage in a home if they have company and they're not bored. And if you're really lucky, you just get a cat who doesn't decide to shred your furniture, but not everybody gets that lucky, right? So I've got a picture of Brutus on here. So let's say this was my friend's cat, and I did something similar to this for one of my daughter's friends who lost her beloved cat, Squeak, a number of years ago. And I also made some refrigerator magnets with Squeak's picture on it, and I sent her a card with his picture on it and did some other things, and I'm sure it was a kind of a mixed thing where it made her sad one minute and happy the next, but that's what I did. And she does have a new cat. His name is Mr. Miyagi. Everybody know the reference where Mr. Miyagi is from? The Karate Kid. What was it? Wax on, wax off. Yeah. Did anybody hear they're making a remake of that movie, by the way, with the same characters, with the original characters? All right, so that cut that I just made did not come out especially great for whatever reason. So I have these blocks that I just buy like it's Sally Beauty or someplace. And if you have a card that you cut and the cut comes out just a little rough, probably means you need new blades, then just take one of these and go over the edges. Sorry, I know that sound drives my daughter nuts. I hope it doesn't bother anybody else quite so much. But you just go over it with that and it fixes it right up. So then what we would do is let's put that one there. We're going to put that on the base. And when you see your card kind of flopping open like that, it means that you really need to press that down a little bit. It really does help. There's also not a cat on here that looks a whole lot like Brutus. But there's a couple that come close. So then we've got the picture of the cat to put on the front so that they know that this is definitely about him, about their cat. And I only wanted to use a picture of Brutus for this because I didn't want to use a picture of any living cat or dog, and I don't know, I just feel like it was jinxing them or something crazy like that. I know it sounds silly, but that's just kind of how I felt. Where is my sympathy? Oh, there it is. I thought it was a longer one. Okay, so then on the inside, we're just going to put with sympathy, and I'll probably use black ink for that, just because I use the black paper. Not trying to be depressing or anything, but just because I use the black paper. So we'll use the, that's the actual Whisper White. So I took a Whisper White pad because they come blank, okay? And this is our white craft ink, and it comes with a bottle of refill. So I took the pad that was empty and re-inked it with the Memento black ink because I like the way these pads work better than the way the linen pads work, which is what the Memento black ink comes in. It comes in a linen pad, and I'm not a fan. And actually, Stampin' Up's ink pads used to be linen like a long time ago, and they didn't work that well, to be honest. They didn't stamp that well. It was hard to get them inked up. There we go. See how nice that is? Okay, now if you're not a pet lover or you don't know anybody who's a pet lover, then sending a sympathy card for a pet that passed away might seem a little odd. but I'm telling you it's not. We had Brutus cremated, and I knew my daughter wanted custody of him, so she has a little shelf in her living room that has a picture of him and has his very nice little jar with his name on it, and it's like her own little, Brutus shrine, and it makes her happy to have him there. Although when Louie comes over, she has to put him away because we don't want Brutus getting knocked over and scattered all over the floor. Because Louie likes to climb things, and he's not very delicate. Okay, so there we go. So someone who has a pet that they lost that they're really mourning would absolutely love to get that cat. Get that card. Now I got my cats and my cards mixed up. Good grief. So let me just pull out quickly. Let's see, we're actually doing pretty well for time, but I won't take up too much. So in the dog card especially, they have a lot of little extras. If you look carefully, I'll hold it up in a second so you can see it. They have a lot of little extras along with the dogs, but that's the cat card. So I gotta get the dog card. There we go. I picked up the wrong one. So they have collars, which of course cats have too. They've got this cute little dog with a bow in his or her hair. And then they've got the little Boston Terrier has a bandana. The poodle, or maybe he's a cockapoo, he has a bandana too. So what would be kind of cool, and even if you colored it in black, I stamped it in, smoky slate I stamped it in, but you could stamp it in black or even in the basic gray, which is darker. And then it would just be kind of fun, not necessarily to be highlighting any specific cat, but it might be fun to just go through and do some coloring. So we could color the Great Dane's collar red. And this way you're just getting little pops of color all the way around, and I think that's kind of cool. And I've seen people make this card where they colored every single dog, and I'm telling you that would be a labor of love because that would take patience to color every dog. I'm not sure that I'm up for it. All right, so let's assume that this little pup here, where'd she go? Here is a girl, and so we're going to give her a bubble bath bow in her hair. Oh, but this is Flirty Flamingo, but that'll work too. They look alike to me until I use them. So she's going to have a Flirty Flamingo bow in her hair. I think that's just really cute. Years and years ago when I was a kid, we had a poodle named Keto, and when he went to the groomer, not only did she put a bow in his hair and on his tail, but she polished his nails. And he was a boy, so I don't know how he felt about that, but you just never know. Let's see, we could use some orange. I'm not even worrying in the least if the colors go well together or not. So this is pumpkin pie, and I'm going to do one of the bandanas. We'll do the Boston Terrier's bandana in pumpkin pie. I had a Boston Terrier when I was a child also. We had lots of dogs and some cats, although the cats were mostly outdoor cats, so I really remember the dogs better. We had a beagle named Barney, but apparently he really liked to bite me, and I was really little, so they finally found a new home for him because he was apparently not a fan of children. And that's not good. Oh, and look at him. He's wearing a tie. How cool is that? So he's wearing a tie. Let's see. Let's do the light mossy meadow for the tie. And this one's holding a frisbee in his mouth. This is the first time I noticed that. He's holding a frisbee. Just saw that for the first time. I went out of the lines there. But we can fix that with the color lifter. Alright, so I'm not doing details, you know what I mean? I'm not going to color stripes or anything like that. And then, well, actually, I do have, I hate pawing through these markers because it makes so much noise, but I was looking for my gold Sharpie marker, and of course it's on the very, very bottom because I can see it through the bottom of the shoebox here. Well, I can see it, but I can't get at it. All right, so we're going to not bother with that right now. But I could use the, nope, that's not the right one either. Well, I will do it in the, I thought some of the collars and the name tags, like the dog bone name tag and this round one. This one's got a rope in his mouth. I didn't notice that either before. That's kind of cool. All right, so maybe we can color the rope in his mouth, and you know, you get the idea, right? Like I said, I'm not going to do all of them. But there are definitely more collars, and there's one more bandana, there's a frisbee, there's, this looks like a bib or a frisbee. This one has a bone in his mouth. Now this is like, it's kind of like a collar or a bandana, but it has a, I don't know, it's a little bit different. Anyway, so you get the idea, and then you just have pops of color throughout. And then if you wanted to randomly color a couple of the dogs, you could too. But like I said, that would take a little bit of time if you did all of them. So then this, because this is the larger one and I cut it so it has a border, would make a great 5x7 card if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to, you know, if you knew someone with a Great Dane or one of the dogs that kind of stands out more, you could color that dog and put this in a little frame and they could have that. And that would be kind of cool too. Or you could put a picture of the dog on it, just using this as a background, and put it in a small frame. And somebody might appreciate that as a gift as well. All right, so we have got the sympathy card. We've got the fun fold card that could be a birthday card or could be anything. We've got the thank you card for the dog or cat sitter. All you'd have to do is switch out the dogs for the cats. And then we've got this card, which could be a birthday card to my daughter-in-law from Shiloh, that kind of thing. You can really do almost anything with them. And then, like I said, this one could be put in a frame, and that would be very nice as well. So there you go. Those are the two stamp sets, Meow Mates and Doggone Friendly. I keep wanting to say Doggone Cute, but it's Doggone Friendly. All right, so thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope I will see you a week from tonight. Have a great weekend and a great week.